There we go.
Oh, hey, we were just talking about the little spinner on the computer before it comes to the count. Today it was like candy canes and Christmas ornaments. It was adorable. Hey, welcome to Thursday, which means it is what?
Creative Unraveling, your paint cast.
Yeah, the paint cast. I love it. And before we get too far, I just want to celebrate. If you go over to the Righteous Rebels Facebook group, and I believe on my personal page, probably Leah's as well, we're celebrating one of our rebels who did a big, brave, scary thing, at least in the mind, and put out her first. She was a guest on Live and Unscripted a couple weeks ago and made a commitment to start her podcast today. And she has followed through, and that first episode is now live and ready for you to listen to. And we would encourage you to support Deb as she did the big scary thing and really just faced her fear and put it out there. So you can find Destinations
by Deb.
All of a sudden, I'm like, that didn't sound right. Destinations by Deb. It's on Spotify, but you can easily find it over at the Righteous Rebels Facebook group. And give it a listen and give her some feedback and celebrate her for doing the big scary thing. And then let us celebrate you. We love to assist you and celebrate in all of our big scary things, and in recognizing that they're most of the time just big and scary in our minds. Yeah. And so congratulations, Deb. Leah.
Yes.
It's Thursday. It's almost Christmas. What are we? And you're in Canada.
I am in Canada, and unfortunately in Canada, we have no snow here. So I thought today would be a beautiful way to send some vibes that way, put it out in the universe and ask for some snow.
Ooh, I like it.
We're gonna do snowflakes, but in a fun way. So you're gonna need a crayon if you have like Crayola crayons. If you have gray or white, I would probably recommend a gray more because you'll see it better if your paper is white. I just found a gray, so I was going to totally use white, but I don't have crayons actually. These are pastels, so that will work. Something that's oil-based that will not absorb the water. So you'll need that today. I'm going to work in blues and cool colors for mine and some watercolor paper. I've opted to use some circles for reference, a pencil, and I'll show you what we're going to do. So we're going to switch over this way. There we go.
Leah, do you want to talk a little bit about, for anyone who may be new to our paint cast, what Creative Unraveling is all about?
So, yeah, absolutely. Creative Unraveling is a place. It's a safe place to explore creativity with watercolors. I hear a lot of people saying like, "Oh, I've always wanted to do that. I'm not creative," and I believe we're all creative, and if we give ourselves the space and the grace to play, that we can uncover all sorts of magic that we have in us. I think of what's her name? Her name's escaped me. Eat, Pray, Love. Gilbert.
Melissa Gilbert. Elizabeth Gilbert.
Elizabeth. I was like, it's not Melissa. That's the first name that came to my mind. But Elizabeth Gilbert, and she says something along the lines of like, do you have the courage to uncover the treasures within you? And I look at creativity as a way to access those treasures, and not even not that you're aiming to do creative things as a way into a profession, but it's amazing how we can learn things about ourselves when we allow ourselves to go down that route and explore and be curious and
talk about like the different ways that creativity shows up. Because I think a lot of times people think creativity is art or music, but there's a lot more to creativity than there's a bajillion ways to be creative. Like Will
Yeah.
you talk to us a little bit about that? Well, first of all, tell us what we're doing by way of
Yeah.
the circles and that, and then move into that so they can start prepping their paper.
Absolutely. So as you can see, I've got some circles already on my page. I opted for different size circles. I had a big page today, so I just filled it with circles. But you could do like 2 or 3 circles, probably 3 or 5, but always go with the odd numbers. But I just drew circles throughout the page. Keep them light because they're really only like a reference guide. You're not going to see them. I'm even going to make these a little bit lighter so they're easier to erase after. But what we're going to do is essentially this kind of shape in the circles, but not in pencil or marker or anything. We're going to take our pastels and actually make this shape. So we're going to, I'm going to see if it'll show up here.
Man,
so
I thought I drew my circles super light, but they're still, maybe it's the eraser. I don't know.
Maybe. So I'm just going to take this one and I'm just going to draw a line in the middle. Oh, that's darker than I thought it would be. That's okay. And then make a cross. And then I'm going to go this way through the cross, but not go all the way through, if that makes sense. So I've got like a little star there. And then I'm just going to make like little V's on, the longer sticks like that. Make it kind of symmetrical that way. And then do little circles on the ends of this one. I'm probably going to play with black or not the white and gray. I'm going to do like little cross marks here just to give it a little flair. This one I'm going to do on white. You won't see this one as well, but you'll see it when we do the next part. But that's essentially the shape that you want to aim for. But yeah, creative language is not, like you said, Jen, it's not just about art and music and movement that way. Your art can be, writing a story. It can be how you have conversation, how you live your life, how you dress yourself, how you feed yourself, how you interact with people in your world. And that doesn't necessarily
like relationship building.
Yeah. How you decorate your spaces, how you make people feel welcomed. Or I think of my grandma and how she had a tenacity of just bringing people into her world and treating them like they were like family, and just how warm that was, that warm of a feeling that was. And I love seeing how people just melted into her that way, because
she
was
still
so
does
exciting.
that just in the ways that she can now.
Yeah, she does. And so my grandma has dementia, and it's interesting to see she's still that way, but without filters. Like my mom was telling me about someone that was coming to help assess her needs and that sort of thing. And she was just like so complimentary of this woman, and she's like telling people like, oh, we want to make her feel welcome, and look how lovely she is, and she does her job so well. And like she just, I love how she celebrates people. As kids, she would celebrate, like if we did good things or we had our manners on that day, like she would point it out to people. She's like, look at Leah. She's using her manners and she's sitting up so straight. Like she didn't, if she wanted a behavior from us, like it wasn't done in like, I'm telling you what to do. It was more encouraged by pointing out the things that you were doing right. So I
love that.
Yeah, because it made you want. She saw you. Like, how often do we go through our lives and people just point out where we're failing or where we're falling short and what we're doing wrong, versus how life-giving it is when people see when we are, quote unquote, doing the right things.
Right. Like, it's so funny. Like, it makes me think of the different places that I do that. And even I just got done playing pickleball, and even there, like, I love to tell people, even if it ends up not in my favor, when they've done a really good job or they've made an incredible shot, and instead of I've played with both people who like rip on you for what they think is a crappy shot, or you should be doing it differently, and I've played with people where we celebrate each other. There's such a different feel even as an adult.
Yeah.
And I love that creative language because it creates more of what we want.
Well, and that's just it. Like, I just believe we're in a constant state of creation, whether we realize it or not. It could be setting the intention before you have an interaction with someone. Say you have a challenging conversation, to have, like, what's your intention? Are you going to go in a state of fear and of, like, assuming the worst case scenario, or are you going to meet this person with love and go in with the intention of listening? Because when you go in with love, you see people differently, so you put down your guards and you're more receptive to a message versus going in with an agenda. I just heard myself say agenda, and then a conversation of itinerary versus agenda, and I just heard how that can be seen as agenda is putting something on you, like you have this plan and you're going to execute it, and I hear that differently now, because we do word energy in the righteous rebel space, and
right, it's creation of what we want using our words.
Yeah, and words are powerful, and so I'm thinking of, like, itinerary. Like, how did you describe that earlier?
For me, itinerary is I love that we had this discussion. Also wishing I had a sharper crayon.
Right.
Itinerary for me is like an outline of things that you are possibly going to address or teach or have inside of activities and topics, whereas agenda is it's you. I feel like it's you putting yourself and the things that you want and desire as the outcomes on other people. With that, for me, an itinerary is like can be interactive, whereas an agenda is it's you getting what you want.
Okay. See, and I guess I've heard the word itinerary. It's not usually one that's been in my space a lot, and I don't know if it's because it has the word tin in the word that I think of robot. Robotic on what's that called? Unflexible. But it's just because I haven't really used the word that way. So when you shared that with me earlier, I was like, oh, okay, that has a totally different meaning. But I can see how agenda feels different. Like it feels like you have your own set of, like you said, it's for your own benefit. It's not.
Yeah, it's like you're going in to prove something.
Yeah. I'm thinking of a word and I can't put my.
Wow, this is something.
What's that called when you go into a conversation and you're looking for a certain outcome? There's another word. It's not agenda that I'm thinking. Oh my gosh, why can't I think of the word? It's not intention. It's not. It'll come to me. Okay, so for this part, once you've got your snowflakes, In there, I just took my eraser and kind of went lightly around. Try and stay away from your crayon because you're going to blur it. Just kind of the outer edges. It's going to be covered up anyway, so I wouldn't worry too much about it. If you have a bigger brush for this part, it would be great.
I'm like, but I'm not draw so many camp circles.
You can totally do just half the page. I'm just going overall over the whole thing, over the snowflakes. And for this part, I'm going to pick a lighter color, and I'll show you why in a little bit. But we're just going to go over, you'll see how over the pastels or the crayons, it repels the water, which is super cool. I'm going to do a half a page at a time because by the time I get the whole page wet, it's going to be dry on the one side. So then I'm just going to drop in this a light kind of blue.
Did you say you got the page wet first?
Yeah.
Part of the page? Okay.
I did half just because it's such a large page. I probably should have done this on half the page. So live and learn.
You guys, another, like, if you want to know about, speaking of creativity, like different kinds of paper and stuff like that, Leah did a creative unraveling a couple weeks ago where she just wandered through an art store.
Yeah, it was in Michael's.
Yeah, and kind of gave you the lowdown of the different kinds of paper that were there, and that was pretty cool. So that would be worth going back and watching.
Yeah, just so you kind of have an idea of where to start and what kind of papers to use. There's lots of options, and sometimes that can feel overwhelming. But yeah, thanks for the mention. That was a fun little field trip. I can totally get lost in an art store and just I want to buy all the things and try all the different tools and paints and see how it pops out. The white ones are super fun. Why can't I think of that word? Oh my goodness. Maybe it is agenda. That you have a certain agenda in mind and like it's self-serving. That's so interesting. I'd never really thought of it that way. I just thought of like an agenda, like a schedule. Okay. So your page should be like pretty wet. You can go around your snowflakes.
Dude, the white ones are cool.
Right?
Why?
They just super pop.
You said put your white crayon away, lady.
Well, I thought it might be easier to see, but like I'm definitely seeing the value of the white crayon. Super cool. So once you've got your page covered with your lighter color, you can go in with a darker blue. I'm probably going to use this one and go just around your snowflake. And while your page is wet. So you still want the page to be wet so it kind of blends in with the lighter blue, but makes the snowflake pop. Like which ones are seen here? Oh, this one's not showing. Okay. See how like you can really see just make the snowflake pop. There. How's yours coming, Jen?
Well, you know, it's something.
I always love how you respond to it because you give this impression like it's really like, oh my gosh, what the heck am I doing? And then you show it at the end. I'm like, oh, like it sounds worse than like it came out really nicely. And I just think it's always funny how you respond that. with that?
I can definitely say it looks nothing like yours. Wow.
Did you do the grayish ones?
Yeah, some of them I also did gray lines, but then I did a couple with like the white little decoration things.
Oh, okay.
But
This would be a cool one to do salt on too for the light
wow.
blue. Wow. If you're new to creative unraveling, this was something we started a while back, and it was a way to put voice to what the process is of being new in the creative space of
To Jen's,
watercolors.
to Jen's demons.
Yeah, to
Let's
Jen
be real.
Stevens.
Let's be
And
real.
well, and I think it's relatable though. Like I think that's how a lot of people feel when they're starting
Wow.
out in their creative journey. What is that face?
I'm gonna have to redo this one because I feel like it looks like shiz.
Like shiz?
It does not look like yours at all. And the white ones actually, I think, stand out at least on yours.
Yeah,
I think
I'm wishing I would have done more whites. Like look at it. I just did darker around this white one, like an even darker blue. And it just I really like how it pops with the white. So moving forward, we're gonna do more white instead of the gray because they just pop more. I just thought it'd be hard to see on camera.
What are you doing now?
I'm taking a darker blue because I can hardly see the gray snowflakes. So I thought if I put more contrast that they would pop more. Like see how this one's coming out
No.
more because I'm putting the darker
Yeah.
color.
Yeah, I don't know about that.
And I mean, it could be I've done it with crayon though before. Um, do you feel are you talking about the snowflakes or is it like the background?
Oh,
Like, tell me
this is not. This is a practice of laughing at your
about
creativeness that's not
creative.
functioning like you think it should. Oh my
Like you
God.
think it should. Tell me about that.
It just looks like blobs.
Like blobs?
Yes.
Like because do you think the lines are too close or like tell me about that.
Maybe. Or I didn't press hard enough with my crayon. My crayon was kind of flat. So, oh my gosh.
Oh, I
Like
see.
I'm struggling with this right now.
Yeah.
It's okay. I'm just gonna keep painting.
And you know what? You can totally just make
Maybe
your
maybe I can do what happened last week and dump the entire glass of water on my painting.
that was pretty funny.
I had been talking about how it looked too perfect. And then
Right?
I inadvertently dumped the jar of water that we were using on our paintings, mostly mine. I did miss the computers though, so that was
Thankfully. Yeah.
yeah,
That's so
no,
funny.
I just have blobs, Leah.
So let the blobs dry and then go in with your pop markers or pens, the gel pens, and they'll not be blobs anymore. You can put your snowflakes in the gel pens.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I that way you're still using your page and you can still have beautiful snowflakes. Just let it dry first so you don't ruin your pen.
I, I'm a little dumbfounded. And if you, as the watcher, observer, painter, like I want to see, like what the.
It could just be the crayon. If you didn't have an edge, then how
It could
would you?
just be the painter too.
I see your snowflakes.
No.
Try and put
Nice try. Nice try.
no, bring it closer. I want to see your.
No, you're just trying to be nice.
No, I'm not being nice. I see, I can see the snowflakes.
Yeah, but they're no.
So what if you went over with the crayon? I think it's what I'm not seeing is the line. So if you go with your crayon, you can go over it or put more darkness around the actual snowflake. Because that makes them pop.
What do you mean put darkness around the actual snowflake? I thought I just did that.
Like
if you're going in between, or are you actually?
Mine goes on top of the snowflake, but because it repels it kind of shoves it off it. Like you can see here.
Yeah, I can see it.
You can see that it.
Yeah, it looks amazing. Mine is not doing that. But okay, time out. I think I really have to redo this one. I think part of what's happened here is you have thick lines. You've drawn like lines with depth to them. Mine are like super thin, so there's really nothing for them to repel, and I didn't do it thick enough.
Yeah, that could be it. Like
you're not using crayons either.
No, this is an oil pastel.
I think that makes a difference too.
Yeah.
Okay, I feel just a little bit better. Like yours look amazing. Mine look like
like what?
It's a family show.
Oh my goodness. Okay. Well, we learned something new today. Maybe crayon's not the best thing to use. Although I just didn't have crayons, so I'm like, oh shoot, what am I gonna do it with?
It feels like what you were using. Like I'll have to try it again and see if I can maybe draw thicker line. Maybe I'll try it in some of the lighter spaces, but I drew my lines thin, like, and maybe what'd you say yours was, an oil pastel?
Yep, this is an oil pastel. Like it's just what I had.
It really repelled. Well, and that's what we ask people to do, is to use what you have. And this is part of the process too, is like, I don't have those available to me. I have crayons, and I chose to use gray, or was told to use gray. But knowing that, like, and seeing how this is and how the paint does, it kind of repelled, but kind of not. Like now trying it differently, like maybe draw a thicker line with your crayon, because your crayon is going to give you a thinner line and make a more defined. I think that might make a difference. Yeah. And so if you're experiencing frustration in your artwork that it doesn't look like Lia's, or gosh, that doesn't look like mine, experiment, practice, because that's one thing we discovered, and we talk about this in several of them. Like paper matters, the paints actually matter, but to start with what you have and to practice, so that as you start getting different equipment and stuff to work with, that you really notice a difference, and you'll still have practiced the skills. So even though I'm frustrated, I'm going to try it again.
Well, and that's just it. It doesn't say anything about you. Like, I don't believe it's the painter. I believe it's more, what are we experimenting with, and what's working and what's not working, and just being open to learning things from it. So I love that you're looking at it through a lens of like, okay, what could have gone differently here, and how can I do it differently next time? And that you're open to a next time, and not allowing the frustration of it didn't turn out how I wanted it to stop you, and that you're gonna experiment with it again. And yeah, I'm I don't know. I never thought of the thicker lines.
Yeah, because
I
mine
know
don't mine don't even show.
Yeah, I've done watercolors with crayons before, so I know it repels, but maybe in this, it's just you need to be more intentional about how you lay your lines down and make sure it's, like you said, thick enough. So, um, yeah, I definitely appreciate that perspective, and it's allowing yourself to learn, and it's a safe place to learn. It's just paper. Um, it's
Like
just paper.
it's interesting because I'm sitting here looking at this and I'm like, oh, I did that. Like I feel those pieces of perfectionism want to badger me. Like I feel the like, no, I don't want to do this again. But it's not as like overwhelming, and the voice isn't as loud as it has been in the past. And so I I will I will try it again because I like how it looks, and just see what happens when I try the crayon differently, because that's the product that I have to work with, and I'm excited to see what comes from it.
Well, and you can let it dry, and definitely go over, that could be your background. You could totally let this completely dry and then go with your crayon, make, harder lines, thicker lines, and on this same page, and then put more paint down on it. Leave some, I would probably leave some of the lighter in places, but then go in with the darker around your actual snowflake. And you can still, watercolor is about layers. So if you can add, allow this to dry, we're not going to do it in today's thing, but maybe I'll post that as a picture in our art gallery. So just how it can look different, and add layers, and give it more depth, and make it interesting. You can also go, like I said, with once it's all dry, you can go in with your the
My
white
sparkle top
pens.
pens.
Yeah, your sparkle pop pens, or go in with the silver, and bedazzle it that way too. I just don't like, it's not a waste. I think that's one of the hardest things I hear when people say like, I don't want to waste my time. I don't want to waste my money and the product. I'm like, I don't believe it's a waste if you're learning something from the experience, and you can still, I'm going to say, salvage it, and use it for other things. It could be a place where you have a quote that inspires you, or that it could be the back of a note that you write to someone. Like you can repurpose it in lots of different ways.
Well, and I
So
think even like, I mean, if I wanted to, I guess I could choose to look at this and be like, well, that's a piece of crap. Or I can look at it and go, okay, what could I do differently? Like I still put water on the page. I still figured out how to apply color. Like there's a lot there. So it's up to you whether or not you learn something. Like, and there's
yeah,
always something to learn from everything that we do. It's not a waste of time. It's not a waste
yeah.
of money. It's not a waste of purpose. It's just practice.
It's that whole idea of failing. Like I think you fail when you stop trying things. And I love that, even though it's not always something that turns out the way I want it to, that I can come at it in a different way, because I've learned those skills and I can apply them the next time I show up. So I celebrate you, Jen, for continuing to show up, and to allow the process to teach you. All right. With that, we're going to have to wrap it up today. I have to get going, but we do have an art gallery in the Righteous Rebels group, and it's not exclusively for creative unraveling. If you've done that or not, it could be any piece of art or any way that you express yourself creatively. We had someone, our friend Amy, share her quilt that she just finished. So let us, post it in the art gallery, and let us celebrate you and see what you're up to and how you express yourself creatively. It's really important to us, and we want to celebrate you. Do the call way, celebrating all things. So, yeah.
Awesome, Leah. Thanks for sharing your gifts and your talents and the things that help bring excitement and magic to your world. And I look forward to. I'm going to finish this because we're going to post. This is not done. We'll post it later in the art gallery. And thanks for mentioning the art gallery. You've got to make sure you go over to the Righteous Rebels Facebook group. Click the join button if you haven't already. We'll let you in, and you'll be able to access that. We love to celebrate. So thank you. All right, have fun with the rest of your afternoon, whatever you're doing, and remember, be bold,
be brave,
be rebel. See you soon.